And we know there is a hadith in Bukhari, you will hear this name. One Sahabi, Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu, his wife Hamna bint Jahsh, and Abdurrahman bin Auf, his wife Habiba, they had similar problem with Istihadah. Hamna, she radiallahu anha, she came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she said, I never stopped bleeding. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her that this is Istihadah, you should fast and you should pray. So once your haid is over, for the rest of the month, you should fast and you should pray. There has been also a mention in hadith of someone that didn't pray salah because they didn't know the ruling. They said they were always bleeding. Alright? But inshallah we'll pick on that some other day. So we know from hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Hamna bint Jahsh that she should fast and she should observe fasting and she should pray. And it has been narrated in many hadith that women who were mustahada, or women who suffered from issue of istihada, they had relationship with their husbands. That doesn't stop anything, okay? It is just normal bleeding. It has nothing to do with menstruation. So first ruling for istihada, the first ruling is she should do wudu for each salah. That's the main thing, okay? What if a woman, she bleeds all month? We will cover that in a bit, but for the days of menstruation, she will avoid praying salah and fasting, and for the rest of the days, she will pray salah and fast. The Sahabiya we mentioned, she came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said about her problem. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her, you should observe haid, which is menstruation, 6 or 7 days. Then after that you should do ghusl, because after menstruation is supposed to do ghusl. And after that, for the 23 days or 24 days, you should pray and you should fast and do wudu for each salah. Okay? Now some of the issues with the bleeding of istihadah. Women who have the condition of istihadah, okay, mostly they will see the difference in bleeding. The bleeding of menstruation is the blood for menstruation is blackish, dark red, has a foul smell, and when that happens, she would consider these days as her menstruation, okay? And when that stops and fresh bleeding starts, then she would do ghusl and just keep praying until the next time menstruation starts. So for some women, it is very easy in the fact that they can clearly distinguish between the two bleedings. Some women, they can clearly distinguish between the two different types of bleeding. Menstruation bleeding and the istihadah bleeding, they're completely different. One being, blackish, reddish, old blood, and one being fresh blood. They can clearly differentiate between the two. For them it is easy. They will observe the menstruation when that happens, and and they will know when the menstruation is finished. So the Fatima bint Jahsh, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to her, I'll just check the name. Sahabiya came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to her, if it was the bleeding of menstruation, فَإِنَّهُ أَسْوَدُ يُعْرَفُ. It is a black blood and it is known, it can be recognized. فَإِذَا كَانَ كَذَلِكَ فَامْسِكِي عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. And if it was that, then stop praying salah. But when that stops, do ghusl and pray. Okay? Now, a woman who is unable to differentiate between the bleeding very clearly, what shall she do? There is a riwayah in Bukhari where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, وَلَكِنْ دَعِ الصَّلَاةَ قَدْرَ الْأَيَّامِ الَّتِي كُنْتِ تَحِيضِينَ فِيهَا ثُمَّ اغْتَسِلِي وَصَلِّي. You should pray and you should fast, but leave salah for the number of days you were used to have menstruation. Then do ghusl and then pray. Meaning, in a 1 month, a woman, she has menstruation 7 days. But in future, if she has a problem with istihadah, what should she do? Now she can't differentiate between the two bleedings. Well, she knew she used to bleed for 7 days. Then she would keep the 7 days for menstruation. Then do ghusl, and for the rest of the month, she would just pray and fast. Clear? Now the issue, what if she doesn't have a previous habit? That's also possible. A girl, she never had menstruation. The first time she had menstruation, she never stopped bleeding. With that came istihadah same time. So she started menstruation and she bled and bled just continuously. For that we have the hadith where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned earlier that you should observe the menstruation for 6 to 7 days and then complete the month. Do ghusl and then complete the month, pray and salah for 23-24 days. This is the hadith for Hamna bint Jahsh. Nabi Sallallahu ordered her tuhur to be counted 23-24 days and haid, menstruation, to be observed for 6 to 7 days. Now the Ahnaf, they say that the maximum number of menstruation days is 10 days. So she should avoid praying salah for 10 days. The reason being, we are talking about, who are we talking about? We're talking about a new starter, a beginning, first timer. She had menstruation but she never stopped bleeding after that. So istihadah also came. They take from the hadith that al-mustahadatu tada'u salata ayyama aqra'iha, or other meaning would be ayyama haydiha. So someone who has istihadah, she leaves salah for the days of the hayd. So the Hanafi says in their madhab, the maximum number of days of hayd is 10 days. So they say she should leave the days of hayd according to this hadith, and she shouldn't pray for 10 days a month, because hayd is maximum 10 days and she has no previous count to go with. This is the first time, so she should observe the maximum. That's the Hanafi understanding. And the other madhahib, they take from the previous hadith 6 to 7 days. Clear? There is a lot of details on the subject. To be honest, hayd and istihadah, just not me, I think many scholars have said the chapter of mirath, inheritance, the chapter of inheritance in fiqh and the chapter of hayd is probably one of the most difficult and most detailed chapters in fiqh. So we will go, before I confuse everyone, I'll go slowly inshallah. There are many views, inshallah. We'll try to cover the most important views. The essence of the debate in all the other madhahib, other than Ahnaf, who say the first timer should have 10 days of hayd observed every month. If she doesn't know her count and she is continuously bleeding. The other madhahib, they say, well, if she can differentiate or she can't differentiate, that's the main thing. If the bleeding is different by color, let's say first timer, she had 5 days of blackish blood and then it became fresh blood. That's a differentiation. So they say, first thing you will look at, is she able to differentiate? I'm not saying the Hanafis don't say that, because this chapter is so deeply discussed. It's impossible to cover every madhab's every view. But in essence, they say if blood is, you are able to differentiate between the colors, because the colors of hayd is either black, dark black, dark red, sometime yellowish, greenish, all these colors which are not the normal blood color, no, other than a fresh blood color. And it has a smell. So if she has that for a certain amount of days, then that's her days of menstruation. But if she's unable to differentiate, going on the previous hadith, they say she should assume 7 days for her istihadah. 6 or 7 days. And then the rest of the days she will be, she will pray and she will fast. And then once she has observed these menstruation days, it must follow with a tuhur. It must follow with a period of clean period, meaning any bleeding in that could not be menstruation, which is 15 days for all madhahib and 13 days for Hanbali madhab. So once, whether she can differentiate or whether she cannot differentiate the blood, whatever madhab she uses to observe the menstruation days, whether she goes by 6 to 7 days, whether she goes by 10 days, whether she goes by the days she remembers from before, whether she goes by the days she can work out because of difference of colors, whatever it is. Once the menstruation is over, she takes her ghusl, and it must follow a clean period, a tuhur period, which is 15 days for most madhahib and 13 in Hanbali madhab. Any bleeding in that cannot be menstruation, whatever the issue is. Whatever it may be. She must observe these days, pray salah in it. For every salah she'll do wudu, because she's continuously bleeding. Every salah she'll do wudu, she will do her fasting, and it will be okay for her to do everything a woman who's not in menstruation can do. Okay?